Now, another area of interest for you is reversal of chronic illnesses. I mean, the chronic illnesses that you mentioned that you suffered from. Have you been able to reverse those? And what did you do to be able to reverse your hypertension and inflammation? And I can't remember the other two. Tell us
it was hypertension. It was gout, prediabetes, and dyslipidemia, where abnormal blood lipids. And as your listeners may be aware, that constellation of symptoms, or diseases, which traditional mainstream medicine considers to be really separate diseases for many parts. There's some overlap. There's growing evidence that these all have a common metabolic basis, and that the things that drive prediabetes also drive gout and also drive these other things. So what I did was, first of all, I was on prescription drugs for all four of those diseases to, quote unquote, control them. What I did was I took a look at, first of all, my diet. I took a look at what I ate, and I was eating a very high processed food diet. I happened to be vegan at the time, but it was sort of junk food vegan. And I made a conscious effort to get rid of processed foods. That's processed carbohydrates, sugars, processed fats, which are seed oils, canola oil, the hateful eight, that people talk about. And also, I don't have celiac disease, which is a gluten intolerance, but I believe that many people are affected by gluten, even at a subclinical level. Gluten is a protein in certain types of grain. And I avoid gluten, but I actually avoid grains altogether. So that's kind of my dietary picture there. That's what I eat. But as you've hinted at, I believe it's equally important not only what you eat, but when you eat. So instead of taking that diet nutrition style and spreading it out over 15 hours a day of nibbling and 6 small snacks, like my mom always told me was the healthiest thing to do, I shrank it eventually down into 1 meal a day. And that's what I do. The rest of the day I drink water or black coffee or something like that, but I have my 1 meal with my family at dinner time. And then for the most part, I don't eat breakfast or don't eat lunch unless there's a social thing that I need to eat a lunch or something like that. But those are the two big changes I did with diet. And then I looked at my sleep, I looked at exercise, I looked at eliminating toxins in my environment. I looked at other things about any deficiencies that I might have, looking at vitamin B levels and various blood markers, and eventually got everything in order, and my blood pressure returned to normal, off the medicines. I don't take anything for the blood lipids anymore. My gout has disappeared. I don't have problems with uric acid anymore. And it's really been, and my prediabetes is also reversed. So it's been game changing for me personally, but also I can see how it can help other people, and I've seen the effect in other people and my patients already.
Well, lifestyle intervention has certainly turned my life around. As a type 1 diabetic of 44 years now, I got it right this time. I always forget and stumble when I'm doing these podcasts. Was it 42? Was it 43, 45? It's 44. 44 years of type 1 diabetes. I was expected to be suffering from diabetes-related complications, neuropathy, and as a type 1, heavy reliance on insulin also makes me actually prone to developing insulin resistance, which is now called double diabetes. And given that type 2 diabetes is prevalent in my family, it's something I dread because I'm prone to it, probably genetically. So But your story is so relatable. When I made those lifestyle changes, I noticed the difference straight away. My exercise changed my strength levels, my the shape of my body completely, like, transformed. I was a vegetarian for 30 years with intermittent veganism, and I was interviewing Dr. Sean Baker just last week. So he was delighted to hear that I've started eating meat now. So introducing meat also changed my health sort of prospects. Lowering my carbs, in fact, eliminating in most cases, made a big difference too. And fasting, intermittent fasting with occasional extended fast. So that's why our network is called Low Carb and Fasting. Let's talk about the benefits of fasting.
Okay, yeah, and I always say when we talk about fasting, because people fast for many different reasons. It can be a religious reason. It can be a getting ready for surgery. People are told NPO, nothing by mouth. But I think for this, we're going to be talking about fasting for the metabolic health benefits. And for that, what are the benefits? The benefits of fasting are in my opinion, are turning down MTOR and all the downstream effects of that. So MTOR, as we talked about, is the abundance molecule or the anabolism growth molecule that signals that. And by turning down MTOR, we tell the body that we don't have a lot of food, so we don't want to store it as fat. We don't want to have cell proliferation. Instead, we have autophagy and getting rid of senescent cells, which seems to be a very important factor with fasting. Beyond a certain point with fasting, usually it's about 12 hours to get rid of the glycogen stores in your body after you're eating. And then after that, then you've switched over to the metabolic benefits. You're in ketosis, your mTOR is turned down. Those are the benefits. The body begins to repair itself. You're in repair mode. The anabolism, getting rid of senescent cells, those are all very, very positive things that we don't see enough of in our modern society.
Mm-hmm. Because we live in a world of food abundance.
Yes. Yeah.
So
and one last thing about food. Food in itself, I believe, is pro-inflammatory. Just whether you turn mTOR up or not, like I hinted at before, I think our bodies have evolved to protect us from the food we eat, any toxins that come in with it. So Rhonda Patrick gave a wonderful presentation at the Metabolic Health Summit up in Santa Barbara a couple months ago. I may be online, I believe it is, but she talked about how food in everybody, it's a normal thing, releases foreign proteins into our bloodstream. It's a normal part of eating, but every time we eat, these foreign proteins get released in our bloodstream, and they can act as endotoxins, and they trigger inflammation. And inflammation is our body's response to protect us from these foreign proteins. The problem is, if we're eating all the time, continuously grazing all day long, this inflammation is turned on. And it's recognized that inflammation is a driver of all the chronic diseases that we've mentioned. And it makes all those diseases worse, if not primarily causing them. So that's the other advantage of just not eating food all the time, is that you're not exposing your gut to the permeability of the leaky gut that we all have in some form or another.